Okay, welcome back. We just finished abbreviations, address, superscript, and subscript. Let's talk about the next slide, which was code. So, related to code, if you want to mark up code in your website, we can use the code tag. Pre retains white space tabs and indentation because HTML by default, the browsers don't render white space more than one character. KBD for keyboard, var to represent any sort of variable, and sample, S-A-M-P, samp, to mark up output. So let's try and use that to see what that looks like. Let's add that after our H2O. Actually, let's delete that because we don't need it. We'll just show you. So let's just delete all that. Okay. Now let's create some code. And we'll say, look at my amazing coding skills. Okay, and let's say we have some code in here. So let's say that we write some JavaScript code inside here. You don't need to understand what it is, but just let's just write this for an example. So we write var. We'll call this phrase, or phrase is equal to, we'll say hello world, and console.log phrase. So what this code actually does is it says there's a variable called phrase called hello world, and when we log phrase, it should display hello world in the console. But this won't actually work, but this is how the code should look. This is one line, and this is the next line. So let's see what this looks like when we run it on the browser. You see, it says this: var phrase is equal to hello world console log dot phrase, but it was also displayed in one line. So first of all, we have to differentiate that this is actually code that we're displaying. So let's turn this p tag into a code tag. Code. Save it, and you see now the font is changed. Even the font size is changed. You see, it's been styled differently to represent this is code. But we still have the same problem where we want actually this to be in separate lines, but it's displayed in just one line. We can solve that using the pre tag, because what the pre tag does is it retains white space, tabs, and indentation. So let's do that. Let's wrap this entire code inside pre tags. So we'll say pre, enter, and we'll put this in our entire code sample inside that. There we go. If I click save now look at what happens. You see console has come to the next line. But you see all this gap? This gap happens because of all the white space over here. So what we have to do is we have to remove all that white space. And now we get it like that. If we want, we could just add one tab. Do that. There you go. That's what it looks like using the pre tag. Now, let's say I wanted to say something like, okay, now you wrote this in JavaScript, and the next thing I want you to do is type something and then hit enter so that you can look at the result of this code that we've written. So let's see what that looks like. We can write over here T in the terminal, type node phrase.js and then hit enter. Okay, now node phrase.js is supposed to be actual code. So let's wrap that in the code tag, code, and we'll come here and write code. Save that and see what that looks like. You see in the terminal type node phrase.js and then hit enter. Now we want to let the users know that this is actually a keyboard button. So we can represent that by putting the enter text inside the KBD, which stands for keyboard, the keyboard tag. So we can write keyboard, save, and you see this has changed to specifying that as a keyboard. Finally, we can just say, suppose we want to say that, okay, so after doing this, you'll get the result of our var phrase hello world console.log phrase operation. So let's say you want to say you want to let the people know what the output looks like. So let's say in the console you will see our phrase variable displayed, and then we want to say what the output will be, and the output will be hello world. Okay, now we can format this. Let's save this. You can see it just looks very blank, very plain. So now we know phrase is our variable, so let's wrap that in a variable tag. Variable, save, and then you can see our phrase. And then we want to let the user know that this hello world is the actual output of this entire block of code, right? So we can wrap that in an element called samp for sample output. We do that, hit save, and you can see sample is now displayed properly. So there you have it. That's all of code related markup. Finally, we can talk about the time tag. Now, why is the time tag used? Well, we have different ways of writing dates, like 20th of November or November-20, 20th next month. So there are a lot of ways we can actually write the date. Now, the time element can standardize the date into a machine-readable format. Why do we need that? Because browsers could offer to add the dates on a page to your calendar. And secondly, search engines could also rank pages higher on searches connected with current events. So if you have a machine-readable format date on your page, basically other software or computer could actually use that date. There are many ways to represent time. You can use date, you can use time, you can use date and time, you can even use a specific week of the year. So go through some of the examples that we can use. So here's a good example of using the date time format. Let's say HTML date tag CSS tricks. Oh, the time element, sorry, not date. Sorry, not that one, that this one, the time element. So this is how we represent time. Now I'm not going to go through the date time tag right now. It will take quite a bit of time, but it's very easily understandable. And it doesn't actually represent anything on screen, but in the background it does help. So feel free to go through this website and just test the code yourself. It's very easy. That about does it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.